And so when we look at the credit file and we put that together with your story, Mark then knows which finance institutions are going to be the best to send your program.
This is the Healey Brothers Show.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to the show. We got Mark McKnight, our finance director at Healey Kia, and our general manager, Brian Boolukos at Healey Kia. So today's a different episode than we usually talk about our processes and different cars coming out and have different people on. But with your guys' specialty and your specialty in finance and all that stuff, we want to talk about first-time buyers. We tend to have a younger demographic that comes in and buys vehicles here. So just starting off with, I think it's the main topic to the main focus is about first-time buyers. I know you were talking about it with Nikki, and we talk about it all the time of how we could help and really show the public and young people how to purchase a vehicle. So if we just want to touch on like 3 different programs we have, whatever you guys want to take it or.
So we have 3 different programs here. The first one being the first-time buyers program. The second being customers who are looking to reestablish their credit. Maybe they've had some hiccups in the past. And the third being customers who they have a good track record, already established, good credit standing, everything's where it should be.
And with those 3 programs, the last one that Brian mentioned is obviously the easiest. Those people know that they can buy a vehicle. They really are just coming here for the great experience we give them and the beautiful vehicles we have. But the first 2, the first-time buyer program, like you mentioned, and the reestablish customer are the ones where we really dive in and help. The first-time buyer program is really what you were talking about, Jay, just people that are younger, haven't really done anything with their credit yet, and we really can kind of walk them through how to get into that first vehicle. The second program is for somebody who's had some hiccups, had some problems, life gets in the way, and they need to reestablish themselves, and that's really what we specialize in, where we can take somebody who maybe thinks they're going to have a hard time getting approved, have a hard time getting that vehicle. We can get them to the finish line and get them where they need to be to get into a vehicle from Healey Brothers.
And then with like the unfortunate credit, obviously, like you said, things happen in life. We understand that happens in everyone's life, and it's an unfortunate and unfair, but we're here to help you and reestablish it. So what are like some things we do to reestablish it? There's certain programs we have, credit acceptance. I know we have all these lenders, but if you guys want to touch on some of that.
Yeah. So it depends. Everybody's situation is unique. Mark and I, as I'm sure you know, we've been with this company since long before this was even a Kia dealership.
Yeah, the shoebox.
We started at the used car outlet. So him and I have a long history of dealing with helping people reestablish their credit. I mean, that was basically all that we did back in those days.
That's what we had to do.
And there's still some times where that becomes almost a majority of our business even today sometimes. It's not uncommon for us to have 7 out of 10 of our customers need help in this department still to this day. So with Mark's expertise in this area, we basically look at it as if there's
3 levels of approval.
Yes.
And the first level is a manager approval. That's where we are going to look at a situation and we're going to work with the customer to set their goals, figure out what the story is, what needs to be done, how we have to almost sell it to the lender to help them get into a vehicle. The second part is up to the lender. That's the bank part of the approval, where they're going to look at your credit report. They're going to look at, kind of your report card to see what you qualify for. And then the third part of that is the underwriting process of that, where we're going to collect your pay stubs or look at what your story really is. How long have you been on your job? How long have you lived at your current residence? Kind of putting together a package that's more than just your score, where, a lot of places you go to buy a car, they're going to look at your credit score. It's not quite what they're used to dealing with, and they're not as eager to help. Where here, we're going to look at it and say, okay, the score happened. This is what it is, but what can we do to create a scenario where you become a qualified customer, where you can get the vehicle that you need? And that goes for the first-time buyers too. You don't just turn 18 years old and say, I want a car now. There has to be some pieces in place to get you there. And what we're really good at is figuring out how to put those pieces together.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just getting your parents involved. If you have a good relationship with your parents and them helping you out as a co-signer to get you started and you making the payments I know that was a big thing when I first got to college. I didn't really have credit, and my dad's like, you got to get credit, and we got to start making these adjustments. So, what are some of the things that go into how like affecting people's credit? What are they looking at when underwriting? Like, how are they looking at just debt or?
So banks typically look at 4 different areas, right? So we look at the track record, the history of their payments, how they've made payments in the past, car loans, mortgages, credit cards, all that kind of stuff. Their stability, how long they've been at their residence for, how long they've been at their place of employment for, their willingness, the amount of money looking to put down, the amount of trade equity they might have in the car, what they're bringing to the table there to help reduce the amount they're financing, and then their ability. How much income do they have coming in every month? How do they get paid? Is it a W-2? Is it a 1099? All of these things matter. And banks, depending on which bank it is, what financial solution that we're dealing with, they weigh these things differently, right? So, there are banks that if your track record isn't the best, which, if you're a first-time buyer, you basically have no track record. Or if you're someone looking to reestablish your credit, maybe your track record isn't, the best, which again is fine. But so there are other banks that look at these other things and weight those a little bit against the track record part of it. So maybe your track record isn't the best, but you've been at your house for 20 years.
I made all your payments, I paid your mortgage, all that stuff.
That all that stuff matters. And so when we look at the credit file and we put that together with your story, Mark then knows which financial institutions are going to be the best to send your profile.
And that's another reason why we work with so many different lenders. I mean,
Exactly.
it's about 20 lenders and 20 partners, and we have relationships with each of these, whether they're local, national, regional. We create these great partnerships to benefit the customer and give them that great experience and help them get that vehicle, because we know in our area you need a vehicle. So whether you're a first-time buyer, you have unfortunate credit, you need to either get to work, help your family, pick up your kids. There's so many different things that come into play. That's why we're here to help you and not just kick you to the curb because you were unfortunate or you're a first-time buyer out of college and you need a vehicle to get to work. So
Absolutely.
thanks. When we're looking at, why are we looking at different credit scores from different avenues? So like we have the TransUnion, Experian, like where does that come into play?
Well, if I may, there are a couple different reasons, Jay. One is different lenders use different bureaus. So sometimes we have a situation where on one bureau, there's mistakes, something may not be reporting properly. That's not the customer's fault. It's just, it's an imperfect science. And we may have a lender that uses one of the alternate bureaus, and we have a situation where the customer can much more easily get into a vehicle than dealing with just the one that another lender might want to focus on. The other thing is that if there is a mistake on one of the bureaus and not the other two per se, we can help them correct that. So for other things other than just getting the vehicle, they can get that corrected and have an easier time with credit cards or mortgages or what else they might have going on. The other thing is different lenders, depending on where they're from, East Coast, down south, West Coast, different bureaus hold more weight, let's say, in those areas. And we have a lot of national partners where, that might come in handy. But that's the real reason we look at all three. It's, again, just to leverage with our partners to help our customers.
Even beyond just the 3 independent credit bureaus, when you are here and we run your credit in the dealership, we're getting back 3 different experience scores. Because it's not even just, does the bank look at
because they're different tiers.
Do they not even look at, it's not even just, they look at Experian, they look at TransUnion, they look at Equifax. It's which specific model of Experian are they looking at? And it's not uncommon a situation that we would deal with in the dealership is a customer comes in and says, well, I'm a 650 score, right? And we go, well, where'd you get that score from? And then you say, well, my Credit Karma says I'm a 650 score.
Yeah, or their app says it.
Right, and it's a great guide, and that tool is extremely useful. I'm not trying to discredit it in any way, but when we go and run your credit file, I'm going to get back immediately 3 different Experian scores. And we know that credit unions like to look at this version of Experian, and maybe some of the more national banks like this version of Experian, et cetera. And there could be wild differences between those scores. You could have that 650 Credit Karma score, which is pulls from TransUnion, but you might have a 690 version of this Experian score and a 610 version of this Experian score. It could even be bigger than that. So but when we run that, we then know the same way I know if you have stability, and this bank likes stability, do time of your job, time of your house. If you have that down there, but then you're also a 690 here, I know that if I send it to the credit union, this is going to be the best place to send it to. Or it might be, your 690 score is the one that National Bank likes to look at better. So we know exactly which banks to send your credit profile to that are going to give us the best chances to get to the best approval.
Yeah, and then we could, from there, we can kind of match a car that fits obviously budget, gets approved with the bank, that works for you and your family, or just works for you just commuting, or whatever it is.
Right.
So that's why we're qualifying them at all times and helping them.
Absolutely. And to Brian's point, knowing that, the experience that we have, I would imagine some dealers that have less experienced finance managers are aware that there's 3 different experience scores. They're not in a position to be able to help the customer that extra step. And that's one of the reasons where when you have a first-time buyer or you have a customer that's looking to reestablish themselves, all of those things are ammunition for us to help the customer.
Oh yeah, you guys have been building relationships with not just the banks and knowing, every little piece of the pie that helps to get someone approved.
Exactly.
So, if you don't touch this, how many years has it been? I don't want to age you here, but...
You can age me. It's 18 years.
18 years.
Mark and I have been together for 18 years.
That's just experience there tells you alone. Like, you guys are here to help the people get approved, no matter what it is.
Absolutely.
Take your time. So one thing, I don't want to say it's a myth, but everyone seems to get scared. Oh, don't run my credit. Don't run my credit. Oh, don't run my credit. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, either you're buying a house, you're buying a car, 2 biggest purchases in your life, you need to run credit. So if you just want to talk about that, like why is it okay to run your credit? Why doesn't it hurt you in that aspect?
So customers think that when we run their credit and then we send them into banks, we're going to get all these inquiries, and these inquiries are going to drag down their credit score. And that's, when you're looking to reestablish credit, that's a really important thing. They're very concerned that if you do all this, you're going to put me in a worse position going forward. And I'm not sure yet if you're even the place I'm going to buy a car from, right? So it's an understandable concern. But the fact of it is, the credit bureaus don't treat it that way. So if we run your credit here and then we go to try to get you an approval, and Mark sends your information to the 3 or 4 best banks that we think are going to get an approval with, yes, you're going to have 5 inquiries on your credit file. But when the credit ratings, when Experian looks at that and says, how is this going to impact this consumer's credit file, they treat all those inquiries as if they're just one. They know that a consumer has to go out and get their credit railing if they want to buy a car. So you're not gonna have your credit hit 5 or 6 different times. It's just that one time because they know you're looking just to buy one car.
Yeah, I don't even know where that came from, like docking your credit. I've had my credit run because I look at all cars all the time.
You know where it comes from sometimes, honestly, is dishonest finance managers. Because they'll get you approved somewhere, and then you go, well, I'm not sure if I want to buy this car, and you walk out the door.
Oh, it's like
and they'll say, whatever you do, don't let anybody else run your credit because it's going to mess up your score, and I'm going to lose this approval.
Yeah, so that's another thing. I've realized, granted, I grew up a Healey, but our transparency here, you're willing to show the whole breakdown, show them everything you're seeing, show them why they're not getting approved, show them why they're getting approved here, why this car fits for their budget, how you're going to reestablish their credit by doing the right things. We're here to also teach as much as get you the car you need. So
yeah, if you're in one of these 2 situations, it's not just the car is not the only thing you're purchasing. It's the loan itself. It's the loan itself, because the loan is how you're going to get yourself in a position to not have to worry about this in the future. You may have all the stability in the world, but that track record's hurting. To get this car loan is going to get that track record where it needs to be next time. So the next time you need to get a car, it's a piece of cake.
And realistically, everyone has hard times, but having good credit eventually and reestablishing is so important in life. Like, you can't really do anything we're doing without good credit. So it's good to know these things and tricks. A couple things that we have now with new tools is this 700 credit tool we use. It's like a pre-qualified, and we call it like finding your buying power. Mm-hmm. So I know we just started it. How do you like it, and the qualification of how easy it is to use?
I love it. If I'm a customer and I'm at home on the couch and I'm wondering what my options are, it's probably the best place to start. Because this is a way for us to get a good idea of what your credit history is and what your story is without even getting any inquiries on your credit file whatsoever. So it's a great place to start.
And also, so it's backed by Experian, and there's different Experian breakdown. So it's on all our websites, literally from our main website, HealeyBrothers.com, Healey Kia, every store we have, and it doesn't take social security number. It doesn't cost you anything. It takes about 30 seconds or less to really figure out. and you can get information back, they can kind of put you in a situation where, okay, this is where I stand. But the dealership now could really help me without you feeling like we took any crazy information from you or feeling like, and that's another thing. People like have such, with that credit thing, is giving you the information. The trust issues there, but
It's understandable.
yeah, and we get it. But we're here to give you peace of mind.
And on the other end of that, when you do that 700 credit inquiry, it's Mark and I who are looking at it.
Yeah.
You know, you have professionals who are going to go through this and figure out what's the best way for you to move.
True professional, trustworthy guys that are here to help you at the end of the day.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you guys a question on the spot. What's one thing you would tell a first-time buyer? Let's start with you, Mark. A first-time buyer when coming to looking and purchasing a car. What's the one thing to come in?
The one thing I would say is when you're coming to the dealership as a true first-time buyer is just be prepared to tackle getting that first loan, meaning have your ducks in a row, have your most recent pay stub, have a good phone number if they have to contact your employer to verify that you are employed. And, you know, sometimes the lenders will want to know how your hire date or how many hours on average, if you're an hourly employee, that you're usually scheduled to work. You want to be prepared to have that conversation. You don't want to have to go chase that stuff. You know, have the pay stub ready, have a good contact number for HR or your manager or somebody to talk to at work. And if you're truly a first-time buyer by yourself, your parents are not in a position to help you, you don't have that co-signer, you want to have some leverage. You want to have some reasons for the lender to believe in you because you don't have that track record. And the easiest way to do that is money down. If you have some participation, if you come to the table, look like you prepared to do a major purchase, like you said, the lenders look on that positively. You don't want to be in a situation where you rolled out of bed this morning, said, "I think I want a car," and strolled into the dealership. Yeah. You know, if you're that 18, 19, 20-year-old person buying that first vehicle truly by yourself with no help, the advice I would give is just be prepared with that information so we can go to bat for you and really paint that picture and tell that story to the lender to be able to get you into your first vehicle.
So Brian, out to you. So I know Mark just really elaborated. That's kind of a hard one to follow.
No, it was a great answer, but yeah. I would say flexibility. I would look at it.
What do you mean by that?
So if you're a first-time buyer and you're a true first-time buyer, there's nobody co-signing with you, nobody's helping you out. Of course, down payment helps, but look at it less like I am buying this car and I am buying a track record. I am now, this is how I'm going to get myself established credit, so that the next time I come in and buy a car, I'm going to be able to get my dream car. But be willing to be a little bit flexible with the car you're getting into. Now, obviously, it's got to fit your needs. I don't want to put you into a car that's absolutely not going to work for you.
Yeah, we're not going to put in a smart car if you
No.
So
I want to get you into something that's going to get you to where you have to go to. And it's going to fit everything you need. You know, if you have children, whatever the case may be. But you got to be willing to be a little bit flexible, because then having this car loan paid on time the way it's supposed to be for 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, the next time you come back in, you're going to be in a position that's going to allow you to come in and say, I want this car and I want it right now.
Yeah, and I also want to touch on one thing. So for first-time buyers, you might not think you're getting it might be an affordable used car we have. It still goes through our full-on service process through used cars, and we double check everything. Every car we put on the lot is backed by Healey, and it's safe and secure and all that. It might have a couple on like the affordable vehicles that are $10,000 with some dings and dents, but that's to help you get a vehicle that fits your payment. So any vehicle you get on our lot is going to be safe. It's backed by our name or Healey. We would never put anything dangerous on the road. It's inspected, it's a good product, and so that's peace of mind for the consumer as well, like for flexibility. Mm-hmm. So now to the hard one. If someone looking to reestablish their credit, what's one thing you would say to them to do?
To what Brian said about the first-time buyer also works in this scenario. The flexibility is important because when you're reestablishing, you have to take some personal responsibility that we talked earlier about life gets in the way, bad things happen. Sometimes you have to kind of pay the piper for that, and you have to kind of put getting the loan, getting a vehicle that fits your needs sometimes has to go ahead of some of your wants, because you have to maybe sacrifice some, we'll call it dream car aspirations, to get the needs, all the need boxes checked. You need a vehicle, you need to reestablish your credit, you need to be in something you can afford. If we can check those 3 boxes, now we're establishing you as the customer to do whatever you want next time. And kind of crawl before you can walk, walk before you can run. You will be in a situation where you have all the buying power next time. We have to build you up from those hiccups. And it's something we do every day. It's something that we are
Specialized.
specialized, very good at here. And we understand that, big picture process to go from that feeling of, I don't know if they're going to be able to help me, I really need a car, to, wow, I got a car and I can afford it and it fits my needs, to, I can pretty much buy whatever I want because I went through this process. That's really just a win for everybody. The customer went on that journey and got to where they wanted to be, and it makes us feel really good that we were able to help them get there. I mean, obviously we're here to sell vehicles, but we're also in the unique situation where we can really help people get to that finish line, to what they really want.
Yeah, and we always go back to, we're here to serve the customer. We're here to serve the community and help them. So at the end of the day, yeah, we sell cars, but we're here to help you. We're here to get you a vehicle, point A to point B, and also make sure the next time you come around, you can get what you want.
Absolutely.
So Brian, now on to you.
My advice would be almost the same, except I guess one thing to add to that would be to understand what our role is as a dealer in this process. Our role is to be the go-between you and the financial institution. So we have to figure out a way to get you what you need the best way that we can. But we also have to think about how is this going to work on the other side of it with the bank. And sometimes it can seem as though these are competing interests. Like if we're not, you want this specific car and it's not going to work for you. It's like we're the ones telling you that.
Yeah.
We're on the same side here.
Yeah.
When we're trying to work with a customer to reestablish their credit, all we want to do is give you the best chance we can at getting you into a car that's going to reestablish your credit. The amount of customers that we have here that are lifelong customers of this store because they went through this process with us. I mean, like I said, 18 years ago, there's a ton of these customers here that we built up that came in initially, had some hiccups. They went through a divorce, medical issues, lost their job, whatever the case may be, that went through this process, that we helped them get their credit reestablished through the process of getting a car loan, who now come in and are buying brand new cars from us every 3 years, leasing them with no issues, and they're never going to buy a car anywhere but us.
So to summarize that, is just have trust in us. Have trust in our people, whether it's this store or another store. We're here to help you. I mean, I know you guys take calls all day. Just simple questions. Like, don't be scared to ask a question. Have faith in us. Have trust in us. We have the process, and we have your back at the same time for the consumer.
Yeah, we're on your side.
So, I thought that was a pretty cool episode.
Mm-hmm.
I learned some new stuff on there, the first time buyer and stuff. So, and I'm around it all the time. And people have unfortunate circumstances. So please just reach out to our guys. We're here to teach you and go through the process and go to bat for you. But you guys have anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good.
Good?
Excellent. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll do another one.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, hit that subscribe button, and follow us at Healey Brothers on all social platforms.